there really should be the same type of ovation here in the studio as I introduce Steve Smith and Brendan Haywood, who's going casual here on a Friday night.
No.
I was trying to get the crowd going.
No tie today. You know, me and Smitty, we FaceTime all the time during All-Star break.
I don't know how to FaceTime.
Yeah, you do.
I like that no look. I like that. We would be dressing well.
Man, I'm just trying to keep up with you. This right here, player.
Apparently it's like the NBA dress code. It just sort of, slowly deteriorates.
Nah, we don't have the NBA dress code up here. The NBA dress code is getting a little out of hand.
One tie at a time, it disappears. The next thing you know, it's an open
NBA
collar.
dress code is.
I seen somebody come in there dressed like a construction worker.
Yeah, that's what we're long since past that. It hasn't been enforced in a very, very long time. Lots to get to tonight. Before we move forward, let's revisit what has some of the Houston Rockets so hot today. They couldn't hold a 19-point lead last night in L.A. against LeBron and the Lakers. They also couldn't hold their tongues when it came to the officials, both during and after the game. James Harden kept his 30-point scoring streak alive, but fouled out with $1:24 left on a charge. Less than a minute later, Chris Paul fouled him. A couple of technical fouls thrown in as well. And afterward, they directed most of their frustration at Scott Foster.
I never really talk about officiating or anything like that, but just rude and arrogant. You aren't able to talk to him throughout the course of a game, and it's like, how do you build that relationship with officials? So for sure it's personal, for sure. I don't think he should be able to even, officiate our games anymore, honestly.
I don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? Been met with the league with him before and all this stuff. I don't know what else to do.
Feel like there is a personal.
I just don't know what else to do. You know what I mean? Just keep playing. I don't know what else to do.
Well, CP and James Harden have had their issues with Foster going back to the playoffs and maybe even beyond. The fan base is all over him as well. They know what he's going to do his games.
A lot of people
their
had an
games
issue with Scott Foster
ahead of time. Other than whatever fines the league inevitably slaps on Harden and CP, what, if anything, will those comments change about this relationship moving forward?
I don't think the comments will change anything, but I think at some point the NBA has to realize some things have to change. And Scott Foster is a good official as far as the way he officiates the game. The problem with Scott Foster, I know that's the problem that I had, was how he talks to you on certain days. Some days he comes at you and he comes off arrogant. He comes off as abrasive. I remember one time I said, "Hey, Scott, you really think that was a foul?" He's like, "Why do you think I called it?" And I was like, "Scott, didn't nobody come here to see you? Why are you talking like that? Say something else, I'm going to check you up." And I was like, what is going on here? So Scott can be very abrasive at times, and he has to understand you can't talk to the players like that. And he probably gets sometimes frustrated with the way the players talk to him, but Scott can rub people the wrong way.
You said it best. I think he's a good official, but I think it's also you got to be able to have a relationship on the court, and not being friendly. I'm not saying being friendly.
A working
at all.
relationship.
A working relationship where you should be. If Brendan Haywood comes up to him in a manner, just asks you why, and you come back with a response that way, then obviously the player comes back, he shouldn't be allowed to give a tech. Sometimes I said, I used to want to give some reps some techs. One time I even said, you get a tech, just because.
How'd that work out for you?
It didn't work out well. No? I got the tech. But I understand I'm the player, but I think also you want to be able to at least talk to a guy, especially when the player's over, man.
Right.
You would love to go 2 plays over and say, "Can you tell me what happened?" And they can explain. Not that it might be right, but I might say, "Hey, I thought you fouled him because I thought you shoved him."
Right.
But you want to have a working relationship. If they don't have that, it's going to be tough.
It's also interesting how the players' perceptions of certain officials compare to reality, because the numbers don't always line up in terms of how Foster's officiated those games. And the charge, for instance, that Harden was called for that fouled him out wasn't a Foster call and was ruled correct today in the 2-minute report that follows every game.